Okay, a frustrating reality for indie agencies. You're building brilliant campaign strategies, but you're stuck using third-party data that doesn't match your client's goals. Wasted spend in campaigns that miss the mark. Our consumer intelligence and data partner, Big Village, solves this. They give independent agencies enterprise-level audience intelligence, precise targeting, and real measurement without the enterprise complexity or cost. One agency using their platform saw 40 to 50% more accurate targeting and 25% better budget efficiency. It's the difference between close enough and exactly right. Ready to stop settling? Check out getbigvillage.com.
All right, everybody. Thank you everybody for supporting indie agency news. Yeah, I got some little chill music. You know why? Listen to me. I'm a little more nasally than usual. I caught my daughter's thing. Indie agency news. Our brief is simple. Build the home for independent agencies. Emphasis on the word home. Our mission is simple. Serve independent agencies and the brilliant people behind them. And our goal is more visibility for indies, more choice for marketers.
Because we are an ecosystem.
Let me use all corporate speak for you. See, that's the cold medicine talking right there. Yeah, that's something else. You know what else is something else? That's professional broadcast right there. Our first leadership summit in Chicago. The theme, Indies Rising, building an unfair advantage for marketers. So we are, you can see kind of the day at a glance, we are getting all these sessions set up. So we've got the top line set, but this is all about how indies can continue to prove their efficacy with marketers and brands. The reality is that there's gonna be some real talk and potentially some tough talk as well, especially this first session, like how to win when holding companies are still winning too. And then after it's all over, we will, so after the day is over in May, we will do a follow-up session with those who attended, and we'll do some workshopping off of that. So I know what tends to happen is we end up going to these conferences, and then maybe we forget. So we always want to keep the fire going a little bit. If you are in the sharing mood, you can sponsor the summit. We are capping this at 150 attendees. Thank you. We'll announce our presenting partners here soon. And then you have a bunch of other options as well. So all you got to do is go to Leadership Summit. You'll see sponsor the summit. And we appreciate that very, very much. So today, what are we doing? We're bringing in our friends at Red Door Interactive. I gotta work on this music thing. There we go. There we go. Oh, I paused it. Boy, that was slick, wasn't it? Oh my God, that was ridiculous. All right, so listen. Red Door Interactive did something that most agencies really don't. So they analyzed what made their best campaign succeed. And what they found challenges a lot of things that we assume about agency work. And the ideas were great, but strategies were great, but alignment mattered more than people realized. So teams that were really genuinely aligned succeeded even when the ideas were they were good, but let's be honest, some of the stuff we do is workhorse. So teams that weren't aligned failed even with brilliant concepts. So today we're unpacking what that means with John Faris joining us from San Diego and Mallory from my home state of Oregon, out in Central Oregon and Bend. So John's going to bring the strategic perspective on why this matters and how Red Door positions alignment as, well, I like this, billable value. And then Mallory's going to talk a little bit about the frontline operational expertise. So here's what I want to start with. So you analyzed your best performing campaigns. And what's interesting is you found alignment was the commonality not necessarily big, bold, brilliant ideas. So when you say alignment mattered more than creativity, what specifically are you measuring or observing that distinguishes aligned teams from teams that simply communicate well or seem collaborative? What does genuine alignment actually look like versus what most people think alignment means? John, let's start. Let's have you kick that off.
Sure. Yeah. So we look at really three things with alignment. It's are you aligned around the problem that we're trying to solve? Are you aligned in terms of the priorities? And then classically in marketing, a disconnect is on what performance metrics are we measuring success by, right? So those are the three key areas. And we want to make sure that alignment is focused on decisions, right? Like you can communicate really well, you can provide great status updates, and you can be empathetic with, you know, the folks that you're talking to. You can collaborate really well, you can create a safe space and have great trust and really good brainstorms. But at the end of the day, alignment is about making decisions and making having trade-offs in those decisions, right? Strategy is sacrifice. That's a mantra I like to repeat. And you know, Drucker, Porter, Jim Collins, they've all said it in kind of one way or another. It's strategies as much about what you don't do as what you decide to do. Try to get our clients really focused on that.
So, you know, if we're digging deep into the problem, so let's put on our we're CMO's hat, and they suspect that their teams aren't aligned, but don't know how to diagnose or fix it. What are a couple early warning signs? Maybe it's during strategy, maybe it's during campaign development, that might indicate, you know, the team is misaligned and this is going to fail regardless of creative quality. And further, what questions should they be asking their own teams and their agencies to surface alignment issues before they become expensive oopsies, shall we say? Mallory?
Yeah, that's a great one. There's definitely some oopsies that can happen if there's not alignment up front. I think, you know, at Red Door, we really focus on that relationship, the partnership, integration amongst, you know, ourselves and the client teams. At the upfront, you know, we have a process and kind of vet and understand what are those warning signs and where do we need to dig in further. You know, it's not a lost battle if we have them. We just know we need to adjust, we need to pivot. So early warning signs could be leaders are describing the problem and then what success actually looks like differently. So there is misalignment there. They look like two different things. The strategy is disparate or changes depending on the audience. So maybe you're focused on solving for a customer, emphasizing long-term loyalty. How do we build that up over time? But also, you know, you're talking to your board and all they really care about is short-term efficiency and results.
Right.
You know, we're always going to have to prove ROI, right? We know that's important, but what's our guiding light? What's our focus? And then teams are busy. So there's a lot of shuffling happening. There's things happening, but there's not actually momentum around those larger business goals. So that signals to us misalignment. So questions to ask would be, what problem are we really solving right now and why? John alluded to that within those kind of 3 Ps that he mentioned, but that allows us to say, what are we not doing? What are we doing, right? What does winning look like in 6 to 12 months, and making sure that there's clarity and alignment around that. And then what are we going to stop doing to make this successful? I think, you know, with strategy, John mentioned sacrifice. If you're saying yes to something, you also have to say no to something else. So those are some questions we like to use.
And when you're executing
go ahead, John.
When you're executing a plan, I think the other critical question to ask is who's going to be assigned to what? When's it going to be done? And is that realistic for those people and the other things that they have?
So you just said something very, very important. So, you know, agency really wants to please, because part of our role is, first and foremost, we're here to solve our clients' business problems. Just full stop. That's never going to change. I don't care what anybody says. That's the North Star. That's corporate speaking for you. There you go. But the thing is like we sometimes want to overplease, and so we get caught in this trap of potentially overpromising, or having that 50-50 thinking of, I think we can do, I feel fairly confident we can do this, but then when it goes sideways, it's big problems. But talk a little bit about that, because that's a real issue.
Mhm.
That pleasing thing, I think where that comes up most frequently, where I see that is brief sign off, right?
Oh,
so
right.
the person responsible for signing off on the brief, they do it without truly believing in it, just to get to that next step, because they're excited to get to the creative, right? And they think, it'll be solved in the work. And
Oh no, yeah,
when I see it,
yeah,
death knell.
we can fix it in post.
Yeah.
That's extraordinarily dangerous. So if I'm an agency, how do you articulate to the client, you're signing off on this, we want to be 100% sure? Can you feel like when you're talking to a marketer or CMO that's ready to sign off, but you have this feeling of, I'm not sure like they kind of know what's going on here. I'm just curious, because I like hearing, you don't have to name names, but I like hearing stories of this because it helps contextualize that. So that's a very interesting thing that I had forgotten about. So how do you navigate that?
There's a great book on negotiation. Chris Voss has Never Split the Difference. And one thing he talks about is counterfeit yeses. And that's that exact thing, people saying yes just to kind of get to the next step, right? And what you're looking for is more of a commitment yes. And how do you ensure that you're getting to the commitment yes is that you continue to ask the questions about those trade-offs and continue to get confirmation that we're all speaking the same language around those problems, priorities, and performance KPIs, right?
Right.
That's one. Get a physical signature. That's another one. Like, you are actually signing off on this, and we have clients do that.
Yeah.
With an ink pen, go old school. I think it's like the shallow versus a deeper yes, right? Like with those trade-offs, in a briefing stage, especially when we're thinking about a position or a campaign direction, it's, are you willing to not be this, right? Like there's levers that we're pulling and there's dials. So if these are the ones we're focusing on, if this is the position, are you willing to deprioritize or not be these other things? So I think deeper questions like that allow us to get at, are you really bought in? Is this something we can get behind? Because we can market all we want, but if the product doesn't back it or the business doesn't back it, it's shallow, and consumers see that.
As with a lot of things with kind of mid-market, we work with a lot of mid-market brands, which is still like, could be $500 million brand, right? I'll take that as a mid-market. They are not all super well versed in brand marketing and like what a creative brief is. And so we take time up front to educate them. And we very quickly will take a step back from a creative brief and really start to try to dial in a brand brief if we're getting weird signals from them that the brand isn't super dialed in yet, because that's another thing that can happen.
That's true.
So education, up front is part of that equation.
Great marketing never solved a crappy product problem. So let's talk a little bit about this. So most agencies would treat alignment as relationship management, project management, something that you do to keep clients happy while you're delivering real work. But when Red Door positions alignment, building it as a distinct strategic value, how do you structure that work? What does the engagement look like? And crucially, how do you price something that clients traditionally expect agencies to handle as part of like a basic account service? I know that you have a structure around this.
Yeah. Part of the secret is you don't call it alignment. People don't like to pay for discovery. They don't like to pay for alignment. They don't even necessarily like to pay for planning, but they all love a plan. They love a strategic plan. And so that's how we frame it. We frame it around a It depends on the engagement, right? If it's a creative project, purely like campaign concepting and development, then we're loading all of that into the brand brief, the creative brief, and those are deliverables that they get to take away. If it's more of an AOR engagement, then we're getting into like either an annual plan or a marketing communications plan. Again, kind of depends on the engagement. And we have a framework called the POST framework, which stands for positioning, objectives, strategy, tactics, and then target KPIs at each of those levels. And so we work through that with the client. As we work through that, that is creating the alignment, because we're really pressing them at each of those levels to make decisions. And so that's primarily how we structure it on the front end of an engagement. And then we have what we call strategic workshops as well, that we build in either to a larger retainer engagement or as like quarterly projects typically. And we give the client a choice,
Right.
whether it's quarterly or biannual. And once we go through these a few years on with a client, because we have a lot of clients that stick around for a very long time, they start to really see the value in those. And they start, if it was once a year or it was twice a year, now they're wanting those things quarterly because they recognize the value. And again, those workshops, we're very careful to position them not as like a stakeholder opinion workshop or a brainstorm workshop, a brain dump. It's around making decisions on the things that are going to ladder back up to that post for the following year or back up to that next big creative campaign that they're going to do. So we're diving deep into audience insights. We're looking at the customer journey and deciding what parts of that journey we need to fix. Where's there friction, right? Do we need to, are they looking to capture a different audience or a different category entry point? And so let's dive into that. Let's do competitive research around that. So it's all those fundamental strategic elements that help drive success for a full program, a full integrated program, and the different elements of that.
Right. Before we get to the next question, Mallory, is there snow on Bachelor?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
If you want to hit some rocks, though, I've got some trails to avoid. My skis will never be the same.
No snow. I mean, it's bad.
No.
It's bad this season. So my hope is, and this is the worst season I've been in Oregon 34 years, worst season I can think of. Now, that said, I'm getting the good vibes going by saying that it's just going to start dumping at the end of January and then February, March, and April. It'll be a late season. Let's just.
Yeah, you're going to manifest it. That's what that looks like.
I'm going to manifest it. Any of you who've seen The Secret? No, I'm kidding. So we talked a little bit about, some of the bumps along the way. How do you diagnose this when you run into problems? What is the diagnostic process? And then what are some of the decisions that you make where it's like, okay, this is fixable, or what do we do here?
Yeah. I think John mentioned it, like that post framework. So up front, what is the strategy? That's a good gauge for a foundation so that we can know, from the start, is there alignment, and do the tactics, do the things that we're doing align back up to the strategy? I think when we sense that misalignment, it's those conversations, and then it's we have what we call business managers at Red Door. So whereas John was talking about, we have these dedicated alignment products, we also have it built into our teams and who we are. So there might typically be an account person, but we have this dedicated, really like empathetically curious individual who really gets to know the client's business, really gets to know their strategy. And so they have that really tight relationship with the client on those business related topics. So we really owe it to call it out to our clients, to name it. We're honest about that. We believe that there's real risks. The quality of our work, is that we're not going to be able to move the needle as much if we don't have that. So it's those kind of transparent one-on-one conversations that we find the most conducive and productive between our business managers and our clients to kind of call out, find that sense of misalignment and figure out, okay, hey, client, we see this. let's talk about it. Like, let's not shy away from it and try to please, because we really want to orient around impact. And we know that, like, if we're just validating what clients are asking for and delivering just that without calling these things out, that impact is really going to erode and go away. And so, by surfacing that, we have that better chance to really succeed. So I think how I'd answer it is just telling clients not just what they want to hear, but what we actually believe is true and what's happening. And like you would with a friend, like being that trusted consultant and advisor.
Yeah. And no, I know. And we overcomplicate things sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm saying this as somebody that like way overcomplicated this whole thing that we're building, but how do you get back into just level setting is such I'm curious just about not necessarily the process, but the emotional way of resetting, right? Because we're all human beings, and it's like, oh, we did this wrong, so you're gonna feel bad about it, or potentially feel bad about it. So this idea of moving people on and being like, no, it happens. Let's go. Let's move on. Talk a little bit about how you manage the emotions of teams like that.
I like to frame it around like documenting things, right? So it's not that you've done it wrong. It's just that it isn't in one place that can easily be socialized throughout the organization, including to your boss, to get alignment, right? And if you bring it back to humans would like to keep their job. And generally, how do you keep your job? You keep your boss happy, and you try to ladder your efforts back to the business objectives of the organization that are mechanically moving that forward. And so if you can get people oriented around that, then they feel better about that they didn't screw it up. We just need to get it documented, and we not only need to get their opinion, but layer on insights from the agency. That's our job, to bring something to the table that they did not know, and make sure that we don't have any invisible stakeholders, right? Like that's another big red flag, is you've got people that aren't in the room that are actually holding the purse strings or having serious influence over how this thing gets executed or brought to market.
Yep. We're going to do some quick hit questions here. So we did call them like one sentence, but that didn't work. So quick hits. Some of them are designed to be one sentence, but I guess we're going to find out. So if you were advising a CMO who suspects team misalignment, what's the one question they should ask in their next strategy meeting that would expose the truth?
I like to be customer oriented. So I would say, who are we trying to reach, and what do we want them to think, say, or do?
Okay.
Yeah, I would say, what's winning look like for you, for your company? And to me, that brings a lot to the table.
Okay. Actually, the most important question is best tacos in San Diego.
Ooh, there's taco shop tacos, and you've got like an Aldeberto's type of situation.
Seaside Market, I like. Well, I don't know about tacos, but the surf and turf burrito is my.
The correct answer is Tacos El Gordo.
Okay, yeah, TJ. So I mean, if you're talking TJ, now you're on your next level.
Tacos El Franc. I never understood the difference until my son and I went, and they're like, "Oh, just go to Tacos El Gordo," and so I didn't understand like the Tijuana difference. So good.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So good. And then the other thing is, I'm half Italian. The Little Italy is very, very interesting in San Diego.
Yeah.
People forget, because you got to remember, that's a Mediterranean climate. If I just turn this into like the travel hour, it's a Mediterranean climate. So of course, you're going to get a good Italian community. Yeah.
So good.
Just turn this into food. Sorry. I'll give you 30 seconds to shamelessly plug anything you want. And either of you, it can be personal too.
Mallory's got a nice event coming up at Red Door. You want to?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Coming up in February. Each year I do a forecast on consumer mindsets. What are consumers going to be thinking about? What's going to be on their brains? How do we adjust to that? So that's coming up in February. If you want to join, I'm sure it's on our Red Door website.
Okay.
Learn a little bit, play around.
Yeah, we'll share that with everybody. Of course. John, she took your fire, and that's okay.
I did.
Yeah, and that's
what do you
okay.
have to plug, John?
Oh, man. Do I have to plug?
Go Padres.
Geez. AI. We've got some great AI thought leadership coming out.
Okay.
A white paper on how AI is impacting the search landscape and what brands can do about it. So we'll get that over to you too.
Okay, cool. Love it. Mallory Collins, John Faris, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to put you backstage, and thank you so much for supporting this mission.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. I'm doing the thing. So a little peek behind the weird curtain here. So I've got like this, it's like a board, right? So the music, which I think you can hear, is playing through it. But I tried doing it through the other thing, and that's why it was awful. You didn't ask for that, but I figured I'd tell you anyway. Such a moron. All right, listen, to all of our members, thank you so much for supporting this mission. If you're interested, go to Indie Agency News. You can see all of the benefits of membership, and a reminder that India Leadership Summit in Chicago at Schaefer Condon Carter SCC. This is a little lower, so we're about 90 spots remaining. Go ahead and reserve your spot. And Indie Agency News members, you get 25% off the Oily Boyd until January 30th. And then also we will start filling in some speakers and getting these topics going. And thank you to everybody who has gone out of their way to not only register, but also help us build this schedule, and to our sponsors. We're looking forward to having you there as well. And one big thing, we're going to do our classic show off happy hour presented by Goodway Group. Show off is interesting. So we'll have up to 12 agencies, 5 minutes to show off their work. And it's a big, fun happy hour. On behalf of everybody at Indie Agency News, I'm Doug Zanger. We will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.